about.
With us a few minutes ago, there seemed to be a technical difficulty, and we have some ideas why it was going on. Anyway, what we were saying in the previous, if you didn't catch it, we're going to do 5 mixed media mistakes today, and we're going to see how this goes, because we're going to paint while we're talk about so much. It's going to be things that we mentally might be going through that can really inhibit our painting process. But we're going to talk about, don't leave, because we're going to talk about some technique as we go. We're going to use some soft pastels today. We're going to do some papers, what's it called? Some watercolor paper that I'm ripping up. We'll put it on with some adhesive. We got acrylics we're going to play with, and pencils, and anything else that we might want to use back here. Maybe some Pantone inks in the background too. You can see over on the shelf. Those are a lot of fun to work with. Oh, so we were talking about, one of the first things is, I think, fear, right? Timid, being timid.
Yeah, being timid.
Yeah. So this is always a challenge, is how do you get going in the morning? Being afraid to challenge new material, being afraid to take the risks. And this is one of the #1 thing that we say all the time. Our hashtags everywhere, right?
Yeah, it is. Create without fear.
Create without fear. Even our 7-year-old started doing it. I think when he was 3, he started telling people, create without fear. It was adorable. So I have tons of watercolor that goes back, maybe in some cases, 70 years. Yeah. Some of it from my mom when she was in school. Old. And I just have never really done watercolor. I'm going to talk briefly about this. So I joined a couple watercolor groups in town, and I'm really having fun because it forces me to do something that I'm not comfortable with. Can you see it? Go back. My directors.
Go ahead and
she's going to zoom in. So this was just a kind of a representational thing. I've been really interested in fauvism again right now, use of color and different kinds of form changes. And anyway, it's a lot of fun. I would recommend trying a new material. That's one way to get out of that fear factor that so many of us can get stuck in. Coffee. This is a brand new setup. If anybody's joined us before, you're going to notice this is different. I turned the table. I've got everything shoved that way right now. It's a lot more room, and I'm going to be able to use an easel later. Not today, but when we do these shows, I can now play with easels. See, I don't even know where to put things now. So I just put some water on here. I'm going to do some sketching to loosen up. I didn't paint this morning when I got up early. I was too lazy, it's always kind of a mistake. I think
a little, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. I was lazy. And that is a problem, actually. And I'm going to talk about that right now because it ties in with fear or being timid. Is practice is #1 thing. Practice, right? When you're making art, it's a consistency when you do it and where you do it. Those are 2 things that help a lot in developing your work. I'm reaching way out. I got a big 4-foot piece today we're going to play with. And I'm using a purple pastel. And I'm using the purple because usually I use a black soft pastel. And I thought, well, we're talking about being timid and working through that and creating without fear and trying things. Find the thing that you use the least in your toolbox and use it.
That goes for any art form, I think.
What's that?
I think that goes for any art form if you kind of
whoops, I lost my
trying to grow as an artist.
Well, as a writer, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm trying to, right now I'm reading my book and I'm trying to get through it, and occasionally I just stop and I go write a poem for a while and come back, and it helps me get into that headspace again. So
when you're writing, do you have a lot of fear when you write, or have you found a way to work through that?
Lately, I've gotten through it, but I used to be terrified, thinking that it is somehow not erasable.
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't even matter if it's not erasable. You can always just draw over it, write over it.
I think one of the things for you to kind of move forward has been, don't you think it's been the fact that you have, how should I say, you've gotten more consistent with writing.
Yeah, I've carved out consistent time, which has made a big difference in my ability too.
Yeah.
It's harder to be afraid when you know you have more time coming up. When you only have so much time and you're always thinking about how little time you have.
Red.
It's hard to kind of get comfortable.
Well, that consistency of thought, you go in, you're going to make mistakes, right? But you just keep doing it. You keep working on it. I mean, I have hundreds, probably thousands of pieces from paper to hard wood, right?
Yeah.
And some are good, some are not good. And
so our first tip really is just to get out of that fear space.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And then maybe you don't always have to be in 2D.
No, yeah, I'm going to get into that too. I have some of you may know, some of you don't know, but my background is actually in ceramics. I have a BFA in ceramics, and I focused really heavily on public art. So I was doing really large stuff. Talk about working through fear. You're working in public art, you're working with committees, and you have to negotiate politics, basically. You often have to deal with rejection because not everybody's going to love what you're doing. So those are definitely, when I was working in the public art realm more, I'm still doing some, but not nearly what we were. But I am working back towards the 2D. Or 3D. I do love my 3D work. I've lately been using some ceramic pieces and throwing them really nice, very beautiful, perfect pots. And then I'm just mangling them and messing them up and breaking the form. And I apply that same principle to the paintings. So there's sometimes some movement between paintings and pottery, sculpture, where I'm adding to the surface. And in fact, we can maybe add something to this.
You could add to the surface that you're painting on. You could build up into the 3D realm.
Let's do something totally crazy. This is a piece. Can you see it okay?
Yeah.
This is a piece that I've been struggling with, and it's on board. And there's some watercolor paper on here. I don't even remember all the stuff that's on. Looks like some Pantone inks, different, maybe some gesso, and some metallic paint up here, which is cool. But I've not known what to do with this at all. And maybe we should just glue this to this thing today.
Yeah, just glue it. Get out the glue.
Get out the glue. Or if I had the screw gun handy, I could have screwed this down, which actually in this case would probably be better. I bet you I could do it. Is it right here? Let's do that. We're going to get crazy. I'm off camera. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're not.
I'm not. Oh, she chased me. She didn't know I was going there. She said, slow down the other day to me.
I did.
That's not how I work. I'm very...
I know. It's not how I work either, but I've been told recently that I need to slow down.
I'm very improvisational, and I'm going to work quick and fast and all that. I'm getting some little screws out of this little side bin here. And instead of gluing that on, because the glue isn't going to hold very well, I'm going to actually screw this down onto the board. In some of our early videos, we were using wood, and we tried it. It was really noisy. Kristen hated it.
I hated it.
we were using nail guns, all this kind of stuff. And
oh, the nail gun episodes.
The nail gun.
Oh gosh, go back to the 2020 videos. You can find those.
Oh, it was a crazy time.
Mute the streaming.
Let's see if this goes in, because this is the wrong size bit. So we'll see if hey, one went in. So building up a surface. I just sold this summer, I guess, or didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
A 4-foot piece where I'd taken boards like this and I'd built up multiple surfaces in heights and then painted on it. And I accentuated the depth of the piece with, I caught my glove, using shadow work. How bad is that drill hole showing up in the sound?
Oh, it's all right.
It's okay. This is the last one.
Mics are nice.
Well, we've made some improvements this season. This is our 3rd episode in, right?
Yeah, we actually have microphones this time, but
So there we glued something on there. I'm going to do some hot pink. I need to get some hot pink in here. I just do. So we'll play. Whoa, it's thinned out a little bit because it's getting down to the end. So that's another thing, is don't be afraid of modifying your paint and the materials that you're working with. Just give it a try and see where it goes. What were you saying about, well, what's next, Anna? We got 5 to get through here.
Overthinking the finish line and focusing on the process instead of perfection.
Oh, yeah. So in university, we used to call it, I'm going to go around this side. We used to call it I like the new setup so far.
That's nice.
What are you thinking?
I have more freedom as a camera operator.
I also thought you'd like that because you're not crammed into, and I can get in and out. I can escape now.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I can. The door's right there.
Nope.
I can boom out.
I clearly need a stick.
Anyway, what were we talking about? I forgot already.
Focusing on the finished product instead of the process.
Versus the process,
Yeah.
yeah. So process oriented. I'm very much a process oriented artist. That means I'm enjoying what's happening, with moving the material. I like the visceral action of it. Like clay. Clay is very tactile. It's very responsive. It's immediately responsive. And I have that same feel from the paints too and the drawing. And I think that has allowed me to experiment, has allowed me to push limits. This board, this paint's not sacrosanct. You can do whatever you want to it, really. And in the process, you're going to learn lots of really cool things.
Yeah, because who's in charge, the paint or you?
Well, sometimes the paint. Sometimes nobody's in charge with it. And that kind of covers that a little bit, right?
Yeah, you're good.
So that kind of leads into the other thing that we were going to talk about. What was the other one?
Getting rid of that inner critic and just
Inner
building
critic, yeah.
confidence.
Yeah, so that's a real hard one. And it's very easy to get caught up in the object, and then the object doesn't go the way that you want it to go. And now you've set yourself up for a perceived failure. That's a really not a great place to be in for any of us, right? Some of the watercolor pieces I was going to show, I was expressing my create without fear with these watercolor pieces. Maybe we'll look at those a little bit later, eh? I forgot what I was talking about.
Building up your confidence and getting over just the inner criticism that you might carry into a project.
Here's the thing. You're not alone. Every artist, whether you're a writer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched you struggle with inner criticism.
Yeah, I'm getting over it though.
You are. It's still. It comes in for all of us.
Yeah.
It comes and goes. I've been making art my entire life. I'm 55 now. I was raised in an art family. I still am challenged by that inner critic.
I tried to accuse him of being 54 last night, and I was quickly corrected.
I know. I earned my right. I got a lot. I have all my gray hairs. I have earned my gray hairs. So this is a thin down ultramarine blue that we're pulling across here. Really, actually in the process, making this piece a little more independent. And we're going to tie that in as we go through this. And probably one of the quick ways I can do that is take some of the color and just bring it right over here.
So going over that piece that you screwed into the other piece.
Yep. So we have that. I don't know. We are sometimes artists are more hard on us than the critics. Here's something that you should, if you ever post anything online of your art, and this is really hard for everybody. And obviously we've been doing this a long time. I have particularly, and the critics really don't bother me anymore. I mean, they used to get to me and they don't now. I mean, it's fine. You don't like the art, that's your prerogative. I've eliminated much of my fear. It's not about them as the process, it's about me. And when Kristen and I are collaborating together, that's also a great joy.
Yeah, you don't have to carry their garbage with you.
No. So let's glue something on. Excuse me, I didn't mean to show my behind to everybody there.
You didn't.
Oh, good. I'm sprawling. This is leftover when Hugo and I were painting the other day. Some really bright red will work in.
He loves his red.
So these are, can they see this all right?
Yeah.
Okay. So these are scraps of different watercolors, experiments with different kinds of textures and different material. This is mostly tempera paint. I'm going to go ahead and rip this up. And this is part of that create without fear, but also pushing materials and giving yourself a visual challenge, something to look at. All right, one more here. Oh, yeah. Kristen's peeling up part of the floor that's keeping her from moving.
Yeah, Now that I can move, I'm going to move.
Move it, move it. That's from Penguins, right? No, not Penguins of Madagascar, is it? That's our first movie reference. Move it, just move it.
I think that was just in the first Madagascar movie.
Is that the Madagascar one? Penguins of Madagascar. Is that it?
That's an offshoot.
Oh, was it?
Don't worry about it.
No, that's all right. I mean, but we have to talk about movies
That
somewhere.
was King Julian.
King Julian, yes. He was hilarious. We have a 7-year-old, and we have another kiddo that is now not a kiddo. She's
22.
fully grown, or at least feels she is. Oh, she's really grown up into an amazing young woman. So we're going to put this on here just for fun. We're adding the paper and tearing it up, putting on the back here. This is simply a what is this? A medium. This is I forget what. It's an acrylic medium. And I usually use a heavy medium to put on my pieces like this. So we're going to put that one there. We're going to create like the sense of gradient here because we're using bigger, medium, and smaller, thinner over here. I tend to work pretty quick, actually, and even when I'm just on my own, don't I?
Yeah, you do. You're pretty fast.
And then that's particularly the early stage because that's like jazz. For me, it's like jazz, or riffing off of a friend's line that he lays, their bass line he lays down or something. Because I used to do a lot of music too. Talk about another art form that's a challenge. So there we've added a few things that I like a lot. It's a little harder. You can sometimes lay it into the acrylic over here, and that works okay.
But you prefer a medium?
I prefer to do a medium on there. I'm not used to the layout yet. So what was the one we were just talking about?
That was just silencing critics in your head and elsewhere, just ignoring the others.
Yeah, I mean, when you put yourself out there, you don't have to, because what's the art about? Is it about you, or are you trying to? I guess that's a good point, right?
Who are you trying to please?
Are you trying to please your audience? Are you trying to please yourself? And that's kind of rolls back into process. The process of making is what is so important, I think. We'll just put that extra on there. I'll create some texture I'll paint on later. So this is a pretty big piece, right? 4 foot by 4 foot. And we're going to keep working on this and as we're talking, but you can.
Yeah, and this isn't on our list, but being willing to change the size you work in.
Yeah, I think that was on my other list when we were talking about this. I'm going to reach way over here and get this on here. Maybe I'll throw that over there for fun. It's some, again, acrylic. I'm using a lot of acrylic. I'm just thinning out some of the things right now while we get ready for the next batch of goodies from Royal Talons. As soon as we have warm enough weather to have it shipped.
Yeah, I know. It's been a little cold this week. How cold was it on Tuesday? You want to share with everybody?
Oh my gosh. The low was minus 25 degrees Fahrenheit.
At our house, yeah. It was bad.
Yeah, that's pretty cold. And even for this area, I think that's pretty cold. I lived in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan for a while, and that really we would get pretty regularly minus 30, minus 40, I think I remember once. Before wind chill. That's before you get the wind chill. It was crazy. Oh, you're laying some things out. Let's just pull this around down here. Let's see if we can maybe carry that visually into that a little more. And then this up in here. By the way, I don't know if they can see much back there, but that's from last week. The piece up there.
Yeah, there's some lights in front of it, but they can see some of it.
So that, and I did post on the social media, and I think in the YouTube community section about that piece. If not, I will. Let me know if I didn't, and I'll come back in. Now I've got the soft pastel.
And what are you doing now?
What's that?
What are you doing now? Can you tell us?
I'm using the soft pastel. I went back to my black. Soft pastel charcoal works as well. Anything to kind of just scribe through, get some lines connecting different parts. And I might be building up more of this as I go. the structure, but for now we're just going to kind of play with. All right, so that we got 3 down, sort of,
So
right?
we've got 4 actually.
4?
So
We did
what
4?
we're going to touch on now is surfaces. You don't always have to use a canvas, do you?
No. Obviously, I'm using a plywood here, a specific plywood that I found that I like to work with. And you can use, I was just remembering.
Cardboard.
Cardboard.
Canvas,
We've
cloth.
built cardboard, cloth. Even some of the big pieces I've done have been on raw canvas. I mean, and I just sold one of those. I sold a 5-foot piece to a corporate collection recently. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you did drill it to the table.
It's screwed in. I was going to move this and it's screwed into the table. So we'll solve that later.
Nothing a little putty can't fix.
That's right. We'll fix that later. Somebody said recently, if you ever need to punch up a piece, to throw some red into it. So let's just put a little red square here. That definitely makes a change. A lot of symbolism I've been working with for a while. That's nothing new. Letters and different kinds of, let's see if I get a little over here, if I can make that a little more pink. If I work it in on here, maybe it'll go a little bit more pink. So this is like mixing on your palette, but you're doing it right on the piece. And abstract art really lends itself to doing something like this, I think, where you're really getting crazy with your surface. I can do realism. I was trained in realism. I was formally trained at a university. I have a degree. Not that means a whole lot. It should never, a lack of education or having education should never, I don't think that should ever really control, how you perceive yourself as an artist.
Yeah.
Oh, see, now that's a nice gray I've mixed over there. All right, well, we might circle back to a few of them. No questions yet, but remember, this is going to go up as a recorded live later in the our YouTube, and you can ask questions there too if you're watching this after we've done the live, and we will answer them as quick as we can. All right, so what's the last one? And I'll look at my list that I did earlier. Oh, we did it all?
Yeah.
Hang on a second. Let me look at my notes over here. Fear. We addressed some fear. This was one that we didn't really put on there. On that one, you were talking about using it later, but
yeah,
I still think it's important to bring it up. So actually, it's kind of, I don't know how it ties in with the rest. It's almost like 6 now.
Yeah, well, it's bonus.
Trust your own intuition, even when it's wrong. Even if you think your intuition is wrong, trust it.
Can you look at me when you're speaking, please?
Yeah, sorry. I'm thinking about the other. See, now she's got to rein me in because I'm like in the mode of painting. Yeah, trust your intuition, even if it's wrong. If you feel like a mark should go there or a color should go there, go ahead and do it. Because you're not going to, by not doing it, you learn nothing. By doing it, even if it's wrong, you learn something. You can sit back in mom's rocking chair in the morning with your favorite cup of coffee, and you can look at the piece and decide whether or not you like it at that point. And you can also take pieces of paper, cover it up, so you don't have. Another way to do a mark making without committing on a piece is take tape or pieces of paper or something and make a mark with that can be removed. The exception to that would be if you're working with oils, which I love working with oils a lot. I don't get enough chance to work with those.
Well, they take a while to dry, and we're getting them running out of space around these.
We're out of space in the place. Space in the place. Okay, so what did we cover? We covered
everything.
Fear.
Don't overwhelm people.
I'm not. I was just trying to think of, because when we talked about this, it felt like I had lots of examples, and now I feel like I don't know what I had. listed out.
You really have covered it all. You don't have to go any further.
Okay, good.
We're also at the last 5 minutes of our show today, so if anybody has any questions, now is a good time.
Holler.
Otherwise, we will see you in the comments later.
Yes.
We've been seeing a lot lately.
We have had such fun starting the shows up again and talking with people and direct messages too. Feel free to do that. And I am thrilled to be doing this again. And I want to encourage everybody to create without fear and just, enjoy this process. We don't have to be making masterpieces when we go in to make art. I mean, yeah, you get commissions. Yeah, you get things you have to do as an artist, professional one, even as a amateur, whatever you want to call it. You're going to have times when you have something to get ready for a show and you have to kind of just do it. Admin work for me is my biggest fear, actually. any admin work that requires my attention. Well, this has gone in a very interesting direction. If you want to take a look, you can. I think Kristen has that ability now. We've added that too. She's carefully moving her stuff over. And because it's a 4-foot piece, this has a lot of time, a lot of layers are going to be added. I'll post on this, I promise, on the social media accounts. I'll do updates in the YouTube as well, in the community section. And we're going to see where this leads us. I'm really excited because I didn't plan to do this. I just wanted to share with you kind of how I get started when I don't have a specific idea in place. So anything to add, my dear wife?
No, not today.
No?
I think that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. Check out our website, davidaustingallery.com.
You got it.
Yeah, I almost named the pond business one. The other business. So we've had a lot of fun. We really hope to see more of you around here on YouTube. And take care of yourselves. Create without fear. Go hug your family. I'm going to do that right after we get off of line here.
Bye,
Bye-bye.